Round one is wrapped up for the NASCAR Cup Series. A couple of drivers just happy to get out of round one, and a couple of drivers who had very impressive round ones. We'll talk about it today here on NASCAR America Motormouths. And welcome to NASCAR America Motormouths, presented by Toyota. Marty Snider, Kim Coon, Dale Jarrett joining you here. So, Kim, let's talk about Bubba Wallace. He makes it through the first round. I think many people had him advancing past the first round. You could see the relief on his face after the race at Bristol. What impressed you most about him making it into the round of 12?
You know, you mentioned, I don't think a lot of people had him in the round of 12. I don't know that a lot of people had him in the playoffs in general. So to move on to the next round, that's a win in my box for Bubba, period. And what they do with the round of 12 remains to be seen, but they can already kind of tip their hat on the season that they've had. You look at what he did at Bristol. He came from a 19-point deficit to move on to the next round. And we don't see drivers in the elimination style playoffs be able to do that usually without going out and winning the race. He knew what he had to do going into Bristol, and that was get stage points. And he did that. He did that in the first stage, grabbing 8 points. And that really, I think, carried him through the rest of the race. And I look at, you know, the mental fortitude that he is starting to build. That wasn't the case early in his Cup Series career. We saw meltdowns from him. We saw him crumble under pressure. I think he is doing a good job of the mental side of things. And then on the racetrack, I think he is managing races. And then as I look at this next round for them, you know, I think they just need to have a solid day at Texas. They could win Dega. For me, it's going to come down to the Charlotte Rover for him and what he's been able to do. But as I talk about, you know, the evolution we've seen on the racetrack from him, he's been working on his road course craft. And I think we saw that at Watkins Glen. It paid off. Can he do that at the Roval? So I think we could possibly see big things from Bubba in the round of 12 in the tracks we go to.
DJ, how about Kyle Larson? I mean, they were really inconsistent for a lot of the regular season. In fact, Larson going into the playoffs said, man, the last race we really executed was the All-Star race back in May. That's a long time until the playoffs. So they wind up first, obviously winning the Southern 500, fourth at Kansas, second at Bristol. Is it maybe underrated how badly the 5 team needed a round like that to kind of pick their momentum back up?
Yeah, I think they realize this, and now it's become the rest of the field's worst nightmare is that Kyle Larson and this team are executing at a high level. This is going to be his most difficult round, though, when you look at the tracks. That first round set up perfectly for him. It's everything that Kyle Larson does well and the team does well. That they showed that their capabilities are on all different types of racetracks and the driver's abilities of what he is able to do. I mean, he led part of the race at Bristol, but he was consistently coming from the very back of the field, starting last. He was able to maneuver his way through there, get up there in the first stage of the race, and then just performed once again at a high level. But Texas is going to be a very important race for this driver, this team, to do as much as they can to win the race, or at the very least, finish in the top 3. And we know they're very capable of that. I think it's the next 2 at Talladega and the Roval that are going to be the most concerning for that driver and team. It's not that he can't perform at both of those. He very well could go win one or both of those. But I don't think they are tracks that we can look at and say that Kyle Larson's going to be a favorite there. He gets through this, then, man, it shapes up to be you're going to have to beat Kyle Larson for the championship after that.
Yeah, they're very excited about the round of 8 if they can get there, because those tracks, obviously, Miami in that is very good for Kyle Larson. Kim, how about Martin Truex Jr.? Man, it's crazy to think the regular season champ barely made it in to the second round of the playoffs, but can they really put behind them what was a really disastrous round of 16 and move forward now that they have all those playoff points back in the bank?
It really is going to take, I think, a hard reset for this team. They just don't have the momentum in my eyes that they had during the regular season. And you talk about him being the regular season champ, that really saved him in moving to the next round. This playoff format awarding the regular season champ 15 extra bonus points. They really had to lean on those in terms of being able to get into the round of 12. Now, they do have the reset in points. Do they have the reset mentally? And I don't know that it's there for me from what I've seen from this team in the first 3 races. You know, you look at back at Darlington, Truex's comments after the race, how he felt like he had an issue in Darlington. In hindsight, he should have pointed that out in practice. We're talking about a veteran driver, and to let something, you know, fall under the wayside like that, I just don't see the team being able to get to where they need to be to get to the championship 4. They might be able to, after the reset, get to the round of 8, but unless they pick things up, I am not seeing the 19 team that I saw during the regular season that was able to win the regular season championship.
And you got to feel like, just like DJ mentioned with Larson, that Texas very important to Martin Truex Jr. and his team. So, DJ, how about Christopher Bell? I mean, man, they have all the speed in the world. You want every pole in the round of 16. So clearly the speed is there, but Bell has made mistakes. The pit crew has made mistakes even after the swap. How far will their speed carry them? This team always finds a way to advance, but how far will that speed take them in the playoffs this year?
Well, the one thing about it is if you don't have speed, it's hard to find things to make up for that. You all of a sudden find yourself trying to make decisions and having to make decisions to take some chances. When you have a fast race car, it allows you to go about things in a normal way, but they have a lot to clean up, as you were pointing out, Marty. I mean, the pit crew's not doing their job with C-Bell. C-Bell is not doing his best work behind the wheel, and therefore they're finding themselves in some difficult positions. With as fast a car as they had, they should not have had to be worried about anything at Bristol when they got there, but they had to run, I won't call it a conservative race, but they were more on the conservative side than what they wanted to be with a fast race car. But they do have the speed, as you pointed out. Critical round once again for this team, for this driver. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he wins the pole again this weekend at Texas and has a fast car. Can they do their job? And especially, you can talk about the pit crew, and I know that he's put a lot of that on him, that he has to do a better job. He's got to do, if he has to do a better job there, he also has to look that he's got to do a little better job on the racetrack too. This is a driver that can perform at a high level, as we saw last year in the playoffs. We come to expect that now from him. So this is important that they get through this round, and then things set up well for him also. But no mistakes here.